Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I have the new pop of Holo collection from Holo Taco. There are a total of 5 brand new shades to the Holo Taco lineup. We have a mixture of linear holographic, scattered holographic, as well as a new glitter topper. The Pop of Holo collection is available right now on the Holo Taco website. Also, this collection is not considered limited edition. While this video is not sponsored, I did receive all of the polishes in this release from Holo Taco. So thank you very much to Holo Taco for gifting me this collection. I am currently recording this on Wednesday morning, so I am hoping to get this video up either later today or tomorrow, so I'm not gonna yap too much right now. So as always, in the description box, links where you can pick these polishes up, links to the Holo Taco website, social media pages, my social media pages, and of course timestamps as well. And I will of course also have some comparisons because I am sure I'm not the only one who saw these and saw, I feel like we've seen this before. So let's get into this video. Okie dokie, so first up we have Berry Loud, and Holo Taco is describing this one as a linear holographic formula in a bright magenta purple shade with added shimmer. Berry Loud had a fantastic formula. This one was a little bit thinner than some of the other polishes in the collection. So on the first coat, it was a little bit more sheer than the other polishes. I'm fairly confident that this one is a little bit more sheer so you can easily see that shimmer. So the shimmer in this polish I would describe as being a pink toned shimmer. I feel like the base on this polish is a very purpley kind of pink. I feel like the added pink shimmer makes this one lean a lot more towards the pink family. I see what Holo Taco was going with calling this shade a berry. Well, I mean, berry's in the name. They didn't call it berry. But I see what Holo Taco was going with calling this one berry. It is a very kind of berry magenta-y kind of color. I feel like this is going to be one of those kind of colors that some people are going to think it's more pink and other people are going to think it's more purple. I would put it in that magenta berry-y kind of family. Again, I think that added pink shimmer makes this one lean a lot more pink overall on the nail. So I generally really enjoy when brands have a shimmer in a linear holographic. I feel like it kind of gives you the best of both worlds as far as seeing the color in both bright direct lighting as well as low lighting. If you're unaware, linear holographics looks best under bright direct lighting. If you're in the shade or like a darker room, you're not really gonna see those rainbows. So that's when the pink shimmer comes into play, and you can really nicely see the pink shimmer when you can't see the holographic. Even though this one was a bit more sheer on that first coat, I still was able to reach full opacity with Berry Loud in only 2 coats. I could foresee those of you with significantly longer nails than I do might need to add that 3rd coat to hide up visible nail line, but I did not have any VNL with this shade in 2 coats. Because this is a linear holographic, it's going to dry down fairly dull on its own, but it is going to dry down very, very smooth. This is not going to dry down textured. We are working with a linear holographic pigment, so you get all of the rainbows of a glitter without any of the texturedness or difficulty in removal. I did not personally experience any staining when I removed Berry Loud, but as always, if you're concerned about that, double up on your base coat. And I swear I'm only going to say that one time in this video because I'm tired of saying it too. The next polish up is called Acid Drop, and Holo Taco is describing this as bright chartreuse green metallic shimmer polish with scattered holographic. Acid Drop also had a fantastic formula. I didn't find the base on this one to feel overly thick or thin, 0 application issues. I will fully admit this was indeed the polish in the collection that I was most excited to try out. I was slightly disappointed by it, but I think that is my own fault as I was hyping this one up in my mind. This is a gorgeous metallic finish nail polish. I feel like I'm not alone in when we saw teasers of this polish. I was like, didn't we just discontinue this shade like a week ago? Okay, it wasn't a week ago, but like it didn't feel like that long ago. But I don't think this is a dupe for any of the other colors in Holo Taco's lineup. I would describe this one as having a very chartreusey green base color. There is an added metallic-y shimmer in this polish, so instead of it being the bright chartreusey green linear holographic that we had before, this is more in the metallic formula. And that added metallic-y kind of shimmer, it is a little bit color shifty. I found on the nail I was largely seeing a very kind of green to blue at very extreme angles, and I found that added metallic-y shimmeriness to this polish, it kind of changes the look of the base color. I found depending on the angle my hand was from lighting sources, that my nail looked anywhere from a chartreuse to just a lime green, a greenish bluish color. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was definitely teal. It looked like it was green plus blue, which I acknowledge is in fact teal. My eyes weren't registering the color as teal. It was just a greenish blue color. I would have absolutely loved if this was just a chartreuse green. I feel like it's very rare for me to say that I wish something wasn't color shifty, but in this instance, I wish it just was plain chartreuse. There is indeed a scattered holographic in this polish, polish, but it's very, very delicate. I found when I brought this one out into natural lighting, I was getting just like random twinkles of holographic, but not like bow 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 holographic. I will admit, I do kind of wish this one had just like a smidge more holographic, but I fully acknowledge I myself am not in fact a huge metallic polish fan, so obviously I'm gonna want more holographic in my metallics than someone who just likes metallics. My Swatches So Acid Drop in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. This one I did have a little bit of visible nail line with in 3 coats. While I wouldn't say you definitely need to do the 3rd coat, I did find that the 3rd coat adds a bit more depth of the overall base color and just like a smidge more opacity. The biggest difference between 2 coats and 3 coats is largely just getting a bit more depth in the base color. This is another one that dries down fairly dull on its own, but not overly textured at all. 1 layer top coat seemed to smooth this one out really nicely. I feel like this is a really fun shade that I don't really know if it's gonna hit the Holo Taco fan base as much as it's hitting me personally. I feel like a lot of y'all are green haters.
That's suspicious.
I wouldn't describe this one as a prugly green, but I feel like a lot of folks do not vibe with chartreuse greens or any kind of green that has a strong yellow element, which my conspiracy theorist mind is currently thinking that the reason why this one has that kind of green to blue color shift is to kind of make this one more greeny blue and thus would be more appealing to those y'all weirdos who don't like yellowy greens.
That's weird.
While removal for the shade is going to be fairly easy, it is going to be on the more messy side, especially if you scrub the polish off. I personally would recommend the soak off method. It'll be less messy for removal, but you can do whatever you want with this. The next polish up is the topper in the collection, and it is called Blue Fizz Taco. And Holo Taco is describing this one as a blue iridescent hex glitter topper with scattered holographic in a clear base. Blue Fizz Taco also had a fantastic formula. I feel like the brand's description of the shade is pretty spot on. This is in a clear base. There are small hex glitters in like a light blue color, and I believe that there are 2 different types of those hexes. I feel like one of them is a light blue, and then there's another one that is more of an iridescent color. I would describe the holographic element in this polish to be, it's kind of that kind of light dusting, but there is a lot of it. The topper itself applies really nicely. I did notice as I was swatching the polishes out, I swatched the topper last in the day when I was swatching these, and I did notice that the amount of glitter that I was able to get out when I started my full hand swatches for the topper was not very much. So I do think that the larger hex glitters in here do have a tendency to sink a little bit. So I would recommend either running this one through your nail polish shaker or holding the bottle upside down for a few minutes before you start putting the polish on. You'll see in my full hand swatches on my pinky, I only got out 2 of those hex glitters. And when I only was able to get out 2 hex glitters, I ran this one through my nail polish shaker for about 30 seconds to get the glitters more dispersed again to finish up doing my full hand swatches and the live swatch for this shade. The holographic element in this polish is super fine particle size. I would put the size of the holographic element in here in like the holographic dusting kind of category. It's super tiny as far as particle sizes go. Because the holographic in here is so small, I did notice that over all of the polishes in this collection, with the exception of Acid Drip, I found that the holographic elements in all of the polishes in this collection were more intense than the holographic in the topper. So when I put the topper over the other polishes in the collection, it was just kind of just like, why? Because the holographic in the polishes themselves were in fact stronger than the holographic in the topper. I did find that once I swatched this one over black, I was really able to see the holographic element a lot better. And even when swatched on its own, you can still see those nice twinkles of holographic, but the blue hexes and the iridescent glitters are definitely going to be the star of the show for this kind of topper. I feel like depending on what you put this topper over, you may or may not even really see those holographic elements so well. I do think personally, I feel like this shade probably is going to look best over darker colors, but personal preference is going to come into play there. This style of topper is not really my personal style. I would have loved it if there was a bit more differences in sizes between the hex glitters just to kind of fill up space on your nail a little bit. I feel like this is going to be one of those toppers that unless you do multiple coats of the topper, it's not going to fill up your entire nail, or unless you do glitter placement. It's not really going to fill up all of your nail. You're going to have a lot of like bare spots if you don't go back in and kind of dab glitters in where you want them to be, which isn't my personal preference for a topper. For the live swatch, I swatched this one in 2 coats on its own, 1 coat over black, 1 coat over all the colors in the collection. And then for my full hand swatch, that is in one coat over Holo Taco's one coat black, and then on my ring finger, that was in 2 generous coats over Holo Taco's pink smoothing base. I wouldn't say that this dries down super duper textured, but we are working with glitter, so there is some texture involved. I did 1 generous layer of Holo Taco's super glossy taco for my full hand swatches, and it seems to smooth it out really well. I'm not feeling any texture on my nails, but depending on the thickness of your top coat, you're gonna want 1 to 2 layers of top coat. Because we are talking about glitters here, this is gonna be a bit more not fun to scrub off. Again, I would recommend the soak off method or a peel off base coat. This isn't gonna be the most difficult glitter in the world to soak off because there's just not that many of them at the end of the day, but it's still not going to be fun to scrub. The next polish up is called Hyper Punch. Hyper Punch is a linear holographic in a reddish pinky kind of base, and the brand does also say that this does have an added shimmer added to it. This is the kind of OG linear holographic formula that I kind of think of when I think of Holo Taco's linear holographic. So this one is very opaque, not quite a one coater, but super, super, super close. Holo Taco didn't tell me what color the shimmer was in this polish. I would say that I believe it is a pink color, where the last time we saw the shimmer in a holographic earlier in the video, that was more of a smoother type of shimmer. The shimmer in this one seems to be more of like a fleck kind of style. I believe the shimmer in here is another pink color, but again, I feel like the particle size is a little bit different than the last time we saw a shimmer. Because this is a very reddish pinky kind of base and then there's an added pink shimmer, I don't really feel like you see the shimmer super well in here. Like, I feel like it just adds to the overall pinky toneness of the overall polish. I feel like up here where I put the little dab of the polish, you can definitely see that it's kind of like reddish pinky as far as the base goes, but I found on the nail it just looked pink. And also, you just saw the little note card that Holo Taco sends with the polishes. The swatch that I was sent, this looks like super, super red. Because I'll be editing this when the collection goes live, I'll put a note here if I feel like what we're seeing on the Holo Taco website looks like what I was seeing in person, because on the note card, this is not in fact the colors that I was seeing at all. Hyper Punch has that super strong in-your-face linear holographic effect that we come to know and love from Holo Taco's holos. As far as the pink overall, I feel like the color that I was seeing in person for this one is more of a medium pink, not the brightest in your faces pink of it all, but not too dark either. I could definitely see someone describing this one as being a kind of summery pink shade, but it's not screaming super seasonal to me personally. My live swatch and my full-in swatches are going to be showing a Hyper Punch in 2 coats on its own, plus 1 layer of glossy top coat. I'm going to give a potential staining warning for the shade. As I was removing this one, it really wanted to stick into my cuticle crevices, so I feel like if I had this one on for any longer, it is potentially going to be a stainer. When I was recording my full-hand swatches for this collection, I actually wore 3 layers of base coat.
You what?
In case you missed the memo, I recently took off my gel overlay, so I don't have any kind of like protectant from staining on my nails. And I will admit, after spending the past like 7 years having some kind of nail enhancement on, the fear of staining that I have is surprisingly high. I'm trying to get over it because I have to, because my nails are currently fairly stained, but I'm on my own personal struggle on trying to prevent staining as much as I can. Because this is a linear holographic we are talking about, once again, you're gonna get all of the bing blam blow of a glitter, but without any of the texture. This is, however, gonna dry down very, very dull because, again, it's a linear holographic. That's how the pigment works. So you will for sure want some glossy top coat to bring life back to the polish, but removal is gonna be super duper easy. And the final polish in the collection is called Splash Zone, and Holo Taco describes this one as a turquoise green linear holographic. Splash Zone also had a fantastic formula, but this one was a little bit on the thicker side.
Just a little thick.
I do think that this one has the potential for being a 1 coater if you are committed to getting it to be 1 coater without having it to get too thick. For my live swatch and my full-in swatch, I will still be showing this one in 2 coats. I love the color of this polish with all of my heart. However, I feel like this is gonna be like a massive stainer. When I removed this one, my nails were tinged a little bit green. With the help of scrubbing with acetone and a little bit of cuticle remover, I was able to get all of the green tinginess off of my nails. Anywho, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous shade of turquoisey green, aka teal. I didn't find that this had a strong blue or a green lean. It's very much in that turquoisey tealish kind of color family. Very cool toned. While I admit that Holo Taco doesn't exactly have like 1,000 different linear holographics, there are definitely brands out there that have more than them. I'm genuinely surprised that we had a color like this that was missing from the Holo Taco lineup. Because this is a linear holographic, it is going to be super duper easy to remove. However, if you care at all about staining your nails green, I would highly recommend using the soak off methods for removal for the shade. A peel off base coat is not in fact going to protect you from staining, and scrubbing this one off is not going to help remove the staining. You do not want to scrub those pigments off of your nail. You're going to soak and swipe, soak and swipe. When I mentioned scrubbing with acetone earlier, that's what I meant. I was soaking my nail and swiping it off again and just kind of like wiping and making sure that each time I was removing it, I wasn't touching my nail again with the part of the cotton ball that already had the pigments on it. I made sure that like I was going in with like a clean section of the cotton ball. FYI, scrubbing those pigments from the cotton ball onto your nail is in fact going to stain your nails. Okie dokie, so let's get into some comparisons. But before, because I'm about to record the comparisons right after this, I just want to say my guesstimate, right, for what I think is going to be similar. I feel like Holo Taco is going to have similar colors for Hyper Punch,
sure
Very
about
Loud,
that?
and Acid Drip. I feel like
You
we
sure
definitely
about that?
have
You
colors
sure
that are
about
similar to
that?
this. First of the comparisons over here, we have Splash Time. I pulled out Holo Taco's Hydro Power, Light Link, Teal With It, and Teal Me Lies over here on the end. I didn't think anything in the Holo Taco lineup was like this exact same shade of teal. And I feel like this is for sure not an exact color like the other Holo Taco teals. I was going to pull out ILNP's High Tide over here, but I thought color-wise it was a little bit too blue, and this has a scattered holographic as opposed to a linear, so I didn't think it was going to be that comparable, but here is a bottle shot of the two. Color-wise, I would say Flash Time is most similar color-wise over here to Teal With It, but it's not exactly the same color. I would say that this has just like a little bit, it's a little bit cooler in tone, not exactly the same tone as Teal With It. Next up to compare to Very Loud, I pulled out Magenta Jelly, Hot Wire Pink, Purple Slushy, Lavender Syrup, Sparkling Spurs, and then Glitterily Purple. Color-wise, I didn't really see anything that I thought in the Holo Taco lineup that I thought was going to be like that similar in color to the shade. I pulled these out because these are all linears. I pulled these out because I thought they'd be kind of similar, and also people did request them. Could be missing something, but I don't feel like there's anything in the Holo Taco lineup that I thought was like the exact same tone and color as this one. And to compare to Blue Fizz Taco, I pulled out Blue Flaky Holo Taco over here. This was from the brand's first anniversary. It's been discontinued. Other than them both being blue, they're not really that comparable. Holo Taco doesn't have anything exactly like this. I just pulled this out because I wanted to compare something. Next up to compare to Acid Drip, I pulled out Holo Taco's Full Charge, Green Taffy, Para Don't Bother Me, ILNP's Willow, and then Mooncat's Banquet of Breadcrumbs over here at the far end. I will fully admit, I didn't really see why multiple people suggested comparing this one to the Mooncat shade until I pulled them both out. I will say in the bottle, there is some similarities in the bottle. I would say the Mooncat shade is significantly lighter than the Holo Taco shade, not an exact dupe, but the vibes are definitely pretty similar. I don't think the Mooncat shade has any holographic. If there is, I can't see any in the bottle or on my swatch wheel. I feel like whether or not you want the Holo Taco shade, if you already have the Mooncat shade, is just going to come up of whether how you feel about similars versus the same. They are similar, but I wouldn't say that they are exactly the same. For the ILNP shade, I would say that Willow is significantly more like this. This is chartreuse. That is chartreuse. There's no question about it. It is just chartreuse. And I feel like the Holo Taco shade has a kind of blue to green kind of shift that makes it look a lot more green in tone. I'm pleasantly surprised. Actually, you know what? I swatched all of these in 2 coats. I'm going to add another coat to the Holo Taco shade really quick. I suppose I should apologize for the fact that Acid Drip is not in fact the same color as Green Taffy. I don't know why I was remembering Green Taffy to be a lot lighter in color, but these are definitely 2 different tones of green. I would say that Green Taffy has a bit more yellow in it than this shade does in comparison. I wouldn't say any of these shades are too similar to justify owning them all. I feel like they're all different colors. And the biggest of the comparisons for last, over here we have Holo Taco's Hyper Punch. To compare, I pulled out Holo Taco's Pink Fizz, Coral Chaser, Hot Wire Pink, Magenta Jelly, Bless Your Heart, Bury Me in Holo, and then Mooncat's Ego Stroker 9000 over here on the far end. I pulled out the Mooncat shade because this is also a metallic linear holographic. While these are both very metallic-y pink linear holos, I would say the Holo Taco shade has quite a bit more holographic in it. From what I remember of wearing the Mooncat shade, this is one of those linear holos where it's more metallic plus linear holo as opposed to a linear holo plus metallic. I could see that some people might feel that having both Hot Wire Pink, that they're too similar. Here, let me turn this way. I don't really feel like these two shades are too similar, but I'm also a pink lover, so I don't think they're too similar. I feel like Hot Wire Pink is just like a little bit, you know, more magenta-ish leaning as opposed to this one is. Like, they're not the same. They're not dupes in my mind. Plus this one has like that added shimmer. So I wouldn't say anything again is too similar to justify owning them both. Alrighty, so final thoughts time. Overall, I am not mad at all about this collection. I love that it is not in fact limited edition. I am digging the color story. I feel like this is a really fun bunch of colors. I really like that Holo Taco is releasing more linear holographics since they have in fact, you know, discontinued so many as of late. I do however wish that Acid Drip had just like a smidge more holographic. Again, I'm not really a huge fan of that kind of like light holographic dusting. I just like my holo to be like really in my face and punching me. I feel like my only real disappointment in this collection is going to be Blue Fizz, and not through any real fault of the polish itself. It's more so just my own personal preference. I don't really love it when a glitter topper has like a lot of like bare spots that I have to like kind of whoa and really get in there trying to fix the lack of having glitter in places. So I do kind of wish that we had more of a variety in sizes in the hex glitters, or maybe just made the holographic element just like a little bit larger. But I'm sure if those of you who watch my Holo Taco videos frequently, you would probably know that I absolutely am very, very excited that Holo Taco is just releasing glitter toppers as a general rule. So even though Blue Fizz Taco is definitely giving off like drugstore vibes from like 20, 30 years ago, I'm not really that mad at it because I'm happy that it exists. I feel like somebody out there that this could potentially be like their gateway drug into glitter, and I'm not mad at it. Honestly, I feel like that's a canon event. Everybody who likes glitter, at some point in your life, you bought a glitter topper that didn't really give you as much glitter as you wanted, and then you started seeking out more glitter. So maybe this is gonna be somebody's, I wanted more glitter than this. I don't know. At least it's not a bonbon. How about that? At least it's not a bonbon polish, because those were hell. As far as my own personal top pick from this collection, I unfortunately am in fact going to be picking Splash Zone. It tried to stain me, but like, I love that color. I love the super strong holographic. I love everything about that one. So I am not at all mad at it. I will, however, give Acid Drip my honorable mention just because I love me a chartreuse. I feel like this one could have been a little bit more chartreusey, but I'm also happy it exists. As far as pricing and sale information goes, the Pop of Holo collection is available right now on the Holo Taco website, and this collection is not considered limited edition. If you want to pick up the bundle of all 5 polishes in the collection, that is going to be priced at $69. Holo Taco prices their polishes between $13 up to $16 and I think 50 cents. So all of the pricing information is going to be right there on the side of the screen for those of you who want it, but it's going to be somewhere between $13 and $16 each. I would love to know what everyone thought of this collection. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Do you have a dupe for everything? Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members. Shenanigang, Story Fans, and of course, all on the screen right now. For my channel members in the Shenanigang tier or higher, don't forget we do have a members exclusive live stream happening this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I will see you all there. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, there is a link for that in the description box, or you can click join next to the subscribe button. But as always, channel memberships are completely optional. Just, you know, like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all the things, and seriously, we are good. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize that this is getting up a little bit later than I normally post for my Holo Taco reviews. This collection got here on Monday, and I unfortunately was not in fact home the entire day Monday, so I have just been pushing my butt on Tuesday and Wednesday trying to finish this one. So, yeah, try my best. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely week, folks. Happy shopping if you're shopping, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. The brand is describing this one as a bright chartreuse green with a metallic shimmer. What? Oh gosh, I thought I hid all of the squeakers. Like, I kid y'all not, I've been hiding them up here so we wouldn't have this happen, and she found one. My Roo, today's a long day. Can we not do the squeaky squeaky? No? Why are we having issues focusing today? I know why we're having issues focusing today. It's because I'm rushing. Because of course, the camera would struggle with focusing if I was trying to rush and I didn't have time to sit here and verifying that we were in frame. A linear holographic formula in a bright watermelon red pink shade with, I swear these descriptions sound like word salad.
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.